also want to mention that last week we were to have a forum with our magisterial district justice candidates, and unfortunately at the last minute they both canceled, and we have been unable to reschedule that forum. We do have 3 of our 4 candidates here tonight for Gettysburg Mayor. Unfortunately, candidate Thomas Carr was unable to attend. So we will do a opening remarks round, and we will start here with Ms. Rita Freeling, and then Ms. Kirsten Demps, and then Chad Allen Carr. So the first question is, what is your background and why are you running? Rita.
Thank you, David. I'm running for Mayor of Gettysburg because I'm an area native and now I'm a resident of the town. I grew up in this town and it molded me and it took me far in life. I had good lessons on all kinds of lessons here. I have more than 20 years experience in state and local government. I worked in state government for a governor who is also the father of our Senator, Bob Casey. I worked for Bob Casey Sr. I worked in the legislature for a senator, and I also worked at the local government level. Throughout all of that, I understand how the branches of government work. I practice mostly administrative law and legislative law. I am a lawyer. I'm on inactive status right now. But you have to learn how to listen, collaborate, and gain consensus because everything works together. When I was also at the state and local government, federal government was involved. So you have to know how to weave all those interests together and also different branches to come up with collaboration and consensus that it benefits the constituents. That's you, the public. I love my hometown. I think I would like to give back what you gave me and helped me. That helped me through my career and also in my personal life. Please, I think it's wonderful. I think the other candidates are wonderful. Civic engagement is important, and I thank you for the opportunity to represent you.
Thank you, Ms. Freeling. And we will go now to Ms. Demps.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Demps. Some of you may also know me as Kirsten McGee, and that is mostly because I am a McGee. My family are the McGees, the Warrens, the Beechers, the Jones, all those people, great people in Gettysburg. I'm running for mayor because I want to help us regain our civility. I want to help us lead by example. Everything that's going on in this country is a mess, to say the least. And so I think that Gettysburg is one of the most famous and simultaneously infamous places in the United States. So I believe that I will be the best person to facilitate the healing that our community needs.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We will now go to Mr. Carr.
Good evening. My name is Chad Allen Carr, and I'm running for mayor of Gettysburg Borough. I'm originally from Texas, but I've lived in central Pennsylvania since 2006. I've lived in Gettysburg Borough since 2009. The reason why I'm running for mayor is because I like to bring people together. A lot of people know me from Gettysburg Community Theater, but in addition to that, I also helped bring an international thespian society to Gettysburg Area High School in 2011, so that not only athletes in National Honor Society and other students at Gettysburg Area High School were being recognized for their passions and their accomplishments, but so were the theater students. In addition to that, I've also helped create a special needs theater program, the first of its kind in Pennsylvania. It's called the Penguin Project. And that brought a lot of people together of different walks of life, for sure. In addition to that, inclusion is very, very important to me. I helped create Gettysburg Pride with 2 of my friends in town, and we are now celebrating our 5th year. One of the things that I am most proud of in my very short time here in Gettysburg is the most recent non-discrimination ordinance. That was 14 months of work by our current borough council and some members that are no longer on the council because it started so long ago. And what that has done, we received a unanimous vote in December of 2020 after over a year of working on it. And what that has done is really brought more people together to understand that equality is for all. And we are now protected, LGBTQ people are now protected with housing, public accommodations, and employment discrimination that was happening because there is no state law to protect us against discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. That is probably the most proudest moment of my career here in Gettysburg, is bringing people together with a non-discrimination ordinance that proves that everyone should be treated equal under the law.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Now, all of you running for mayor, of course, you're familiar with the emergency management coordinator position in your borough and the fire and the police responsibilities. But how can borough managers assist residents during emergencies? Ms. Freeling.
Thank you, David. I think the most important thing is to know that emergencies, as we all know, can happen anytime. So you have to be ready 24/7 to be on the spot and respond. And I think as mayor, you should be right where the emergency is. It's safe for you and for the community to get the message out and help to coordinate with the emergency management person, council members, get the word out, coordinate with the newspaper and the local radio, and to make sure that citizens are protected. And I think that the local Red Cross would be involved. My parents were volunteers for the Red Cross, so I'm familiar with taking those emergency calls at nighttime, as I did when I was in high school. As I said, it's a 24/7. You have to be ready and ready to go and ready to be informed. I kind of had an experience with an emergency that went on for probably about 3 or 4 days. I was a reporter in Harrisburg during the 3 Mile Island incident. And we had to be ready, we had to go, and they also asked us beforehand, as a reporter, well, are you willing to stay no matter what happened? I stayed. And they told me, if you have to stay, and even after there's some kind of thing that it's got to go south, you have to stay for 15 minutes. And I said, I'm here. So I'm kind of familiar, and I also work with PEMA, which was the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency. So you just have to keep a stiff upper lip and do what is needed for the residents. Make sure there's food, clothing, shelter, and work with local entities, and also our state and local and national figures. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Freeling. Ms. Demps, as the mayor of Gettysburg, how would you assist residents during emergencies?
I would most definitely also coordinate with local organizations and entities in order to make sure that we have everything we need. I believe that it's imperative that we maintain a sense of proactiveness, so to speak. You know, they say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So it's definitely beneficial for us to know everything that we need, everything that we have, everything that we may need to acquire in case of an emergency. Also, just being transparent in the information with the residents of the borough to continue to expound on that information if need be, where are parking garages in case of snow emergencies and that sort of thing. I know everybody may know of certain things in the town when it comes to emergencies and procedures and, you know, move your car this and that place, but sometimes we don't always know everything there is to know. So I'd definitely be the one to make it plain and make sure that we're safe as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Demps. Mr. Carr, as the mayor of Gettysburg, how would you assist residents during emergencies?
Thank you. I'm just going to say everything that Rita and Kirsten have just said is fantastic answers. I don't have anything too much to reply to that because I think those were perfect answers. But I will say that part of an emergency and an accident should be heavily communication and transparency, which I believe they both said as well. And part of that, I'm going to defer to some accidents that recently happened in town. So there were some car accidents, there's been some fires. Something that's going to be so big to have some type of damage to a building and stop a rather large traffic street within our borough, I think one of the first people that should be contacted after the police and the fire department should be our borough manager. The borough manager has a lot of responsibility. He's our city manager. He's got a lot of responsibility. He's got to call PennDOT. He's got a lot of responsibilities that he has to do his job. And in order to do his job, when an emergency or an accident of that nature comes up, that person has to be contacted as well. So while I applaud and support the police, absolutely support our volunteer fire department, we also need to keep our whole staff, specifically the borough manager, in the loop. He's got to be contacted so he can start making some calls to aid our city, our borough, in that emergency. So that's what I would say is inclusion, communication, don't leave somebody out of the loop, and let's make sure that we all come together to get through an emergency or a dreadful accident, such as some of the fires and major car accidents we've seen lately.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. I think you all had some great answers there. As an administrator, of course, I appreciate your comments there on keeping the administration in the loop as well. We will move to our third question, and this one will go to Mrs. Freeling first. Gettysburg is a small town, but known worldwide. As mayor, how would you influence outside perceptions of Gettysburg?
Thank you. I think the way we can influence outside perceptions of Gettysburg is first by making people who visit here feel comfortable, welcome, and able to carry that information back to their place and spread it around people. With social media and every kind of media, there are different ways that you can get the word out about Gettysburg. You could go on maybe national travel shows as mayor, as long as that would be approved. You could go on statewide television. Pennsylvania Cable Network has wonderful local shows they do. I used to work with Larry Casper, who's at Pennsylvania Cable Network. I just think there's a multitude of things, and I like to try to do things different. What I would like to do is being an ambassador. We have the tour center. I would go out to the tour center and greet people coming to Gettysburg, maybe give them information about the town and what we have downtown. Fact is, I'd be willing to ride on the tour bus around with them. Also, the Gettysburg National Park Service, they have a greeting center. I know it's outside of the borough, but I think that would be a fun place to meet people and work with the Park Service. And I have to put this plug in. I was a seasonal park ranger for the Park Service when I was in college and high school, so I'm familiar with the battle, and I'm familiar with the function of the Park Service. Another way that you can influence people is Parents' Weekend at the college. Go out and meet and greet with parents and the students. And I understand that because of their corporation status that you can't be a candidate to go out to the college. But I think as an elected official, you could interact with the college, their diversity program, other different programs. I think they have a community outreach that you could work with that, and of course meet with the students. Now, I've only gotten into a couple things, but I think there's many ways that you can get the word out about Gettysburg, and I would happy to be an ambassador. And I do have to say this, I was an ambassador for Gettysburg when I was in high school. I was an exchange student to Turkey for AFS.
Thank you, Mrs. Freeling. Those are some great ideas. And Ms. Demps, how would you influence the outside perceptions of Gettysburg as the mayor?
Just by continuing to be myself, I would definitely, just by continuing to be myself. The way that I talk to people, the way that I interact with people, the way that I carry myself on a daily basis, the way that I enter our different establishments around town, restaurants, various businesses. It's very important to forge a valuable relationship with every person in this town, and that includes our tourists, our college community, everyone from the mayor's office to the person in the back alley at Breckenridge Street. It goes on and on and on. It's a circular thing. So promoting Gettysburg, it's what I do on a daily basis. I know what it means to not only be born and raised in Gettysburg, but also what it means to be a Gettysburg warrior. And that's just who I am and what I do.
Thank you, Ms. Demps. Great ideas. And Mr. Carr, same question to you. How would you influence outside perceptions of Gettysburg as the mayor?
I would like to know what some of the outside perceptions of Gettysburg are. I'm going to guess that the majority of the people that maybe come to visit Gettysburg or don't live in the borough of Gettysburg probably know Gettysburg because of the bloody battle. We know that we have, probably 1 million visitors to Gettysburg a year, but if the battle may be the thing, the battlefield may be the thing that brings them here, but we need to get the things going that are going to get them to return. We also need to reach out to people that have no interest in the battlefield or might go for half a day, but there are other things in Gettysburg. There are other things in Gettysburg Borough other than the battlefield. And we should be highlighting those things. So I don't know about necessarily changing a perception, but how about allowing people to realize all of the other things that we have here in Gettysburg and let them make their own realizations of how they would like to visit and for what reason. Our restaurants and shops, we have some of the most unique shops in Gettysburg. There's no doubt about it. We have, you can ask all of our shops downtown. We have people visiting from DC, from Frederick. They make that short drive because of the shops that we have in Gettysburg. Small business should be elevated. We spend a lot of money on promoting the bloody battle and the battlefield. Why? It's always going to be here. How about let's support our small businesses and highlight them, our arts and culture in Gettysburg. That's how you change some perception.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Some very good thoughts there. I do want to apologize. I guess I should have been rotating the first answers on all of these questions, so my apologies. I didn't understand the format going in, so we're going to rotate a little bit as we go through, and I do apologize for the change up. So this next question is going to first go to Ms. Demps. As the mayor, you will have control over the time and place of police activity. What is the #1 law enforcement issue you will address once in office?
Well, I have to get into office first to address any issues, and that's going to take a little bit of time because we have to meet our police department where they are. We have to meet our police officers where they are. We have to meet our police chief where they are. I need to know the policies inside and out. I need to know the procedures inside and out. I need to know who's on shift. I need to know what shift that is. I need to know who's on A, who's on B, what's up with Pruitt and Weichert and everybody. I need to know those things, and I don't know those things because I'm not in office, so I can't immediately tackle an issue that I don't know about. You can't just walk into somebody's house and just change up the furniture without, knowing why the decor is placed there. So I've met with the Master Sergeant about a week ago. We had a wonderful conversation, and we will tackle the issues as they come and make sure that our Gettysburg residents are taken care of and that our businesses are taken care of and that, the police is doing what they need to do as they should. And first and foremost, after that would definitely be rebuilding the people's relationship with the police because, like I said, our country's climate has influenced our home's perception of our police department, and so that definitely needs to be shifted moving forward before we tackle any law enforcement issues because our police department does about as good as they can with the 12 guys that they have. So.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Carr, same question to you. As the mayor and the time and place of police activity, what is the #1 law enforcement issue you will address in office?
I'm going to agree with Kirsten. I would need to be in office to see what's going on. That's a really good analogy. You can't go into somebody's house and start rearranging the furniture without getting to know the ins and outs, procedures, handbooks. I will say, communication is very important to me. That's part of my platform. Communication and inclusion, transparency and accountability. It's all about transparency and accountability. So I think that the entire borough management, Gettysburg Police Department, and Borough Council, there seems to be something missing. There seems to be a lack of proper communication between the police department and the borough management and Borough Council. There's something missing. So I hope to bridge that gap because we've all got to work together. We are all a team to help the borough of Gettysburg. So I would say that the first thing that I would want to do is make sure that we all understand that the police department and Borough Council and the management, it's all one big team. It's all one big staff. And if we're not all in the same loop together and we're not communicating correctly and there's no transparency or an accountability on issues, then we're going to have problems. So that's one thing that I'm going to try to do if elected as Mayor of Gettysburg.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Ms. Freeling, same question. With the control over the time and place of police activity, what will be the #1 law enforcement issue you will tackle?
Well, I agree with the other two candidates, and what I call that is collaboration and consensus. You have to make sure that we're all talking, we know what the issues are, I know what my issues are, which I'll bring up later, but it's just not me. It's Borough Council, the Borough Manager, but most importantly, what is your issue? You as the community, that's what I say. You talk, I listen. I'm here to bring your concerns to those other entities. And I know it won't always be perfect, but I can listen to what you say and make sure that your voice is heard. Now, and maybe I'm stepping out of line here, I do have 2 concerns in Gettysburg, noise. And I'm not talking about downtown festivals and stuff. I'm talking about when you're in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're woken up by noise. My windows rattle sometime by vehicular traffic, not all, some going up and down the street. And also, not only what happened with the recent accidents, I've been on streets in Gettysburg, and sometimes there is excessive speed. So I would like to work with the Borough Council, with the council manager, and also the police department. I know they're aware, I know the police department is aware because I have called them before, not just recently, to talk about these issues, and they made an appearance where I lived. So you have to know how to reach out to the police department and get collaboration and consensus so that we could all come together and make it a wonderful town, however, still respecting people's First Amendment rights. But I think we all have rights, and we should remember my right go as far as the end of my news. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I just want to comment real quickly that community policing is a topic that I know is very big in the nation right now. And one of the things that I found very informative was the gentleman that was doing the social media feeds for a while in Gettysburg. I thought that was great that whoever that was getting out into the community and making those attachments and letting people know that, hey, you know, we're here if you need us. Mm-hmm. So I'd love for any of you to bring that back to Gettysburg as well. So I'm going to switch the order up here again so that everyone gets a chance to answer first. So Mr. Carr is going to get this one first. Borough managers don't get a vote at the council meetings. What are some of the methods that you can employ as mayor to benefit Gettysburg residents in those conversations?
Thanks for the question. That's actually incorrect. Borough mayors get to vote on a tie. It's very rare. As a matter of fact, current Mayor Ted Streeter, I think in 4 years, has voted twice. But borough managers do get to vote, but in a tie. However, he or she always has a voice, and it can always be used in workshop meetings, in business meetings, throughout the community, and anything that comes before council for a vote. Even if there's not a tie, the mayor, he or she can always have a voice at that time and state what he or she thinks about what's coming up for a vote. And I think that's very important to speak for the people. you've got to listen to the people, you've got to reach out to the people, and be the voice of the people. And what each council member votes on affects the whole borough. So the mayor can and should have a voice at every vote that comes up. And if it's a tie, he or she gets to vote.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Carr, and I see you've been studying. Very good. We will now go to Mrs. Freeling with the same question. What methods can you employ to benefit Gettysburg residents in the council conversations?
I agree with Chad about the breaking tie votes, but also the voice is being the ambassador for the citizens and being their voice and trying to get their input on issues to take to council, to the borough manager, once again, collaboration and consensus to see how we can come together, and I've heard the word transparency, and I of course believe in that, but you bring issues to the table and you can serve as a voice for the citizens. So that means going out into the community, and if it's a special issue or a certain issue, try to get feedback from the community. And once again, you can use social media for that if you want. And you also have to, with this whole entire consensus thing, you have to listen to both sides of the issue. One person may feel one way and another person may feel another way that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm here to represent all people. I'm reading a book right now on civil liberties, and it's very interesting because it gives two sides, opposite sides to issues, that it opens up your mind. There are always two sides to every story. So I think that's one, is just employ and learn how to work closely with Borough Council and see what their feelings are. And the other thing, they're a voice for the people in their wards. So you're getting that input, you should be, and of course working with the Borough Council manager. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And now we will go to Ms. Demps on that same question.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that both of my fellow candidates stated. We definitely need to continue to use our voice to be the voice of the people. There is a section for public comment during Borough Council meetings. We have to continue to inform the borough. We have to continue to, and by informing, I mean not just giving them information, but giving them the right information. And that's basically it. Moving forward, we just have to continue to, and being a voice, we have to continue to tell the truth. And that's how we lead by example. That's how we continue to forge valuable relationships. And that's how we make things happen for our borough and for our residents.
Thank you for those comments, ma'am. I just real quickly want to give a shout out to former Mayor of McSherrystown, Tony Weaver. Your conversations and your comments have brought up some of the memories of McSherrystown Council, and Tony was very vocal as a police officer, as a council president, and as the mayor then. Before he retired. But one thing he always said right before he spoke was, I know I don't get a vote on this, but I'm going to say what I think. So I hope that each of you, if given the opportunity, will do the same thing. So now I'd like to introduce reporter Jim Hale from the Gettysburg Times, who has two questions for our candidates. So he will read the question, and then I will call out the order. Jim, hello.
Hi. I have a feeling I know the answer to this question already based on your previous comments, but I want to nail it down if we can. By state law, the mayor has oversight of the police department, but the mayor can delegate that authority to the borough manager. Are any of the candidates considering that option? Why or why not?
Thank you for the question, Jim, and we will start with Ms. Demps on this one.
My answer is no. I would not pass that on to the borough manager simply because Mr. Gable has enough to do. I'm quite capable of overseeing the police department as need be and working with Chief Glennie to make sure that we do everything that needs to be done. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Ms. Demps. Mr. Carr.
I'm not going to be able to answer that until I'm in office and see what's going on, as I've already previously mentioned. At this time, I have no plan whatsoever to write off any of the authority and responsibilities of the mayor of Gettysburg. However, what I will say is that additional training, I know that our police force, and I support our police force, they are small but mighty. Additional training is needed, and I know they're getting a lot of great training, specifically with racial bias and LGBTQ sensitivity training, but as anyone with any job, we need to learn new techniques. Professional development is excellent for any career. And as your mayor, if elected, I pledge to give that entire salary, all $5,000 a year, to police training and to secure additional training for our police, because I believe that it's needed. I also would like to create a task force immediately in office for our community group to help bridge the gap, and more support between council and police department is definitely needed. That task force should include 2 council members, those are elected officials, the borough manager, that is a hired position, the mayor, that's an elected position, the chief of police, that is a hired position, and then 2 or 3 volunteer members of the community that live in the borough and are tax-paying citizens in the borough, preferably that have experience in mediation, human relations, mental health support. These are all very important things that our police need further training in. I believe that it's great to have that, but it's always great to have even more. And that's how our police will continue to help protect and serve. And again, all of that salary that the mayor would get, I would give to the police.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Carr. And Ms. Freeling.
Hi. Hi, Jim. I thank you for your question. I agree with the other candidates. And I do know there is talk about handing over the control of the police to the borough manager. But as I said, it takes consensus and collaboration. So I don't think change is necessary for any person who is mayor until you're in office and oversee the landscape. But there has to be some kind of coordination between the mayor's office and council and the borough manager, because while the mayor has control over the police, their budget is run through the other offices. So there has to be some kind of connection and collaboration and consensus. I really like Chad's idea about the task force, that as I said, I'm open to ideas, but it has to be what is necessary for the success of Gettysburg as a borough. But right now, I think the best thing would be get in office and see the lay of the land, and talk to people and hear their concerns. And also those concerns come from the department I would be overseeing. I would talk to the police officers.
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am. Very good points all. And we will go back to Jim Hale for his second question. Jim.
Thanks. As has been mentioned a couple of times, the mayor has an important role as an ambassador for the borough. Can the candidates talk in specific terms about concrete things they would do to improve relationships with our state and federal elected representatives and other officials, not only from surrounding communities, but state and federal agencies that are involved in awarding grants? You know, a specific program of improving communication with all of those folks.
Excellent question. We will start with Mr. Carr.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, I think, as I've mentioned already this evening, communication is very important. So I believe that the mayor of the borough of Gettysburg should absolutely reach out to the Adams County commissioners, reach out to our representatives in higher offices that are representing our region for state and federal. But I also believe that we should absolutely reach out to what I would call our mirrors. A mirror is a mayor of another borough, specifically one that's comparable in size and population, to have a good open lines of communication. I think it's really great when 2 people that carry the same job in a different town talk to each other, especially if they're neighboring communities. We're really all in this together because we're such a small community, and there's no town quite like Gettysburg, but there are a lot of neighboring communities that are similar, and we should reach out to them as well. I would also like to say that we need to focus on the borough itself. So in addition to elected officials, I would absolutely be reaching out to our school district, our community not-for-profits on how to better the borough, specifically with poverty. Over 30% of Gettysburg area school districts are students are reduced or free lunch. Thank God for SCAP, our local nonprofit right now, and Ruth's Harvest is just another one. But we really need to reach out and see what else we can do. Sometimes some of those students that are having the reduced or free breakfasts or lunch, that may be the only meal that they get that day. If you are surprised or saddened by that, you should be saddened, but don't be surprised. It happens more often. Let's all come together and help that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Carr. And Ms. Freeling, same question for you.
I think that was an excellent answer about poverty and bringing in SCAP and a lot of other agencies around here that can help. Because with the pandemic, it is getting worse for some people. And I know some people are even worried about staying in their homes. So I think there's a way, as an ambassador for Gettysburg, you can reach out to local officials, our state representatives, and our federal representatives. And you can work with our local economic development agencies, with the Chamber of Commerce, to bring in. And I've worked, as I said, I work in state government. I would have no problem, if asked or if approved, to go over and speak at committee hearings on the Hill here in Harrisburg, or if I can, go down and take the board to Washington. I've done that before. I'm willing to do it again because it's important. There are a lot of grants out there too that you can work with and get, and I've worked with grant programs before, and also, believe it or not, and I don't know if this is just something strange, I started a program to benefit people trying to pay their back child support, and there was money, and I don't know if this can be done in Gettysburg, but at a community bank, they had extra money, and I worked with the Community Action Commission there, and we set up a program. Now, it didn't benefit a lot of people, but it benefited few, and I hope it grew since that time. So I think there are a lot of innovative ways you can work, and you can't just talk to local officials, your state officials, and the federal officials. You have to bring them all together, and I know that because when I worked at the county, I had to deal with the judicial branch, the commissioners, I dealt with state government and the federal government, and you had to get them all on board and come together to benefit our clients.
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am. And we will hear from Ms. Demps.
Yes. The question about, could you repeat the question for me,
So
please?
as the mayor, you're the ambassador of the borough. How would you use that role to improve relationships with state and federal elected representatives and other officials?
Yes, I would. I would definitely continue to forge valuable relationships. Valuable relationships are a priority of mine, and my methods are steadfast and immovable. I have drafted a community initiative with my company, Kirsten's Kids, LLC. The borough has seen that already, so hopefully we can move forward with implementing that in order to continue to forge those valuable relationships. I have great relationships with our county management. I have known our county manager since I was a little girl when he used to work at Hoffman Homes. I also have good relationships with our elected officials. I have a good relationship and the phone number of our Second Lady of Pennsylvania, who is currently working to avidly reduce food insecurity in our state. Chad mentioned earlier that he worked with the Borough Council to draft and implement and get voted on unanimously our non-discrimination ordinance. And with that comes a Human Relations Commission piece. And if you've been following and if you haven't been following along, we now have a Human Relations Commission in place. But what we do not have is an advisory council. too with that Human Relations Commission. And so that comes from the state of Pennsylvania. So the state's hearing examiner and I have been in multiple conversations, and we're currently working on implementing that advisory council so we can continue to work on the state side to bridge the gap between local governments and people.
Thank you, Ms. Demps. I think you each bring an eclectic array of skills and experiences to this position, so I thank you for your answers. We have a lot of experience, of course, in Adams County as well, and to some of the points you were making, we do have some administrators locally, such as Ben Thomas in Cumberland Township, who also serves as a mayor in his community. So hopefully you'll reach out to him in your positions to collaborate, and also look into the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs for their training programs. They've been invaluable over the years. So with that, we will go to our closing remarks. We will give each candidate 2 minutes to impress upon you why you should cast your vote for them. So we will start that with Ms. Freeling.
Thank you, David. I thank you for listening to me and to the other candidates. And I would like to say that it's kind of difficult to campaign right now during the pandemic. So I'm trying to figure out, if one of my issues is community safety, how to safely get my word out to you. So hopefully you'll be seeing a little bit more of me, because I did get my second vaccine Tuesday night, but I just want to make sure that you're safe, but I will find a way to get the word out to you. Also, Chad brought up something that I forgot. I am not taking a salary. I figured I'll donate it back to the borough and they can use it as they see fit, or maybe start a scholarship. And somebody asked me for college students, and I said, I don't think so. If people agree, I'd like to see something set up for high school and grade school students, because a lot of people are struggling with just getting the basics for school, and teachers are going into their pockets to get like crayons or whatever, and maybe the salary could be used for something like that. I'm a strong believer in education. So, community safety, that's policing, community health, community economic security, bringing back businesses, individuals, tourism after the pandemic, because the pandemic has put, as everybody knows, a change on many things. What I would like to say, what I'm running on is community safety, collaboration. Everyone has to get on the page throughout this. We talked about citizens, borough council, the police department, state and local elected officials. And it sounds like a big task, but if you open, communicate, and listen, that's the important thing. So we can have collaboration and consensus. And my bottom line is, I probably missed something, but if I did, you can tell me if I missed a concern of yours, because you talk and I listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Freeling. And we will now go to Ms. Demps for her closing remarks.
Yes, I just believe that our community is going through something right now. With the climate of our country, like I have previously stated, and we need to heal from that in order to move forward. We need to feel like, Gettysburg needs to feel like home. It feels out of place, and it feels strange, to say the least. My priority is to definitely maintain my messaging and just the way that I move. It's community-oriented and family-focused. I'm born and bred in Gettysburg. I'm the oldest of 6. I have a daughter now. So everything that I do is for the well-being of, other people around me. And it's been that way my whole life, pretty much. I always have put other people before myself. So I just truly believe that as mayor, that's what I need to be focused on, is rebuilding our community as a whole, making us feel like we can be able to reach out to each other and just continue to forge those valuable relationships and make our community feel like they're included in the borough business, because I know that a lot of our focus is on tourism, and a lot of our residents don't feel like they're included in the community as far as Gettysburg versus residents. But I want to bridge that gap, bring us together, and make us whole again.
Thank you, Ms. Demps. And we will now hear closing remarks from Mr. Carr.
Thank you. Gettysburg may be a small town, but we have challenges that are no different from any larger city. Race, poverty, food security, homelessness, LGBTQ and gender equality, our inclusion, racial inclusion struggles that we have here in the borough are no different. They're no different than any other larger city. And the thing is, they've always been here. We've always had these challenges. 2020, however, brought everything to the forefront. We were on lockdown. We had nothing to watch but the news because we can't go to live theater or sports or anything. But it really elevated everybody's emotions. All of these issues are very real and they've always been here. But we've got to have these hard conversations together as a community to figure out how to move forward. No matter our differences, we are all in this community together. No matter how small a percentage of the population is, meaning no matter how small a percentage of any specific race or LGBTQ group, we are all part of Gettysburg Borough, and we must listen to everyone to have a happy, healthy community. Everyone counts, and we need to respect each other as equals. What I would hope that I would bring to the office is inclusion, communication, and my tagline is #BeInformed. A lot of people in our borough don't understand the local government. They don't know how to go to the meetings or how to make their voices heard. And some don't feel comfortable doing so in person. I will be your voice. Reach out to me. I will have an open door, and I will help you get what you need to come across.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. And we want to also thank Jim Hale and the Gettysburg Times for soliciting a couple of questions here this evening. In closing, we'll remind you that the day to vote is Tuesday, May 18th. So polls open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Make sure you get out and cast your vote or mail in your vote or however you're going to cast it. Please be part of that process. The county voter registration office is available to assist you if you have any questions. You can reach out to them at the county courthouse. Again, I want to thank my guests today for bringing their ideas to the forefront, and hopefully in a couple years we'll be celebrating your accomplishments. We're going to go to Jim Hale now for a final comment. Jim, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here. I think it's wonderful that all three of you folks and former Judge Carr are seeking office. If everybody would get more involved, the results would be great for our community.
Excellent.
That's it.
I concur. Thank you, Jim, for joining us.
Don't forget to register to vote.
Last day to register is May
May
3rd.
Monday.
May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Monday.
Don't wait to the last minute. Courthouse is open tomorrow.
Get online or get to
Voter
the courthouse
registration,
and,
right,
and
voter
make sure you
registration.
register. And as Ray says all the time, thanks for being you. Thanks for joining us, folks. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, everybody.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Congrats. Thank you.